Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It was requested that I show you some budgeting tips. So we're going to start off by setting up a budget book or payment schedule as part one. So here we go. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So one of the things we talked about during the live stream is some video ideas. And one of them is budgeting when you're on a limited budget. Now, without getting into specific numbers, I'm going to show you 3 ways that we have budgeted and do budget actually. Jimmy likes the paper. I do electronic, but I will also show you that if you, well, the electronic can also be transcribed to a calendar, like a physical calendar if you don't do electronic calendars. So I'm going to show you how to set up this budget plan, okay? So stay tuned. So the first easiest way that I came up with doing a budget was with a columnar pad. Basically, it's a 5 or 6 column financial ledger. And if you've never seen one of these before, it sort of looks like this when you open it, and it has numbers depending on how many columns you get. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 written across the top. Then there's a space for the date, possibly, or a check number, depends on what you want to do. The item number. It's not labeled, so you can do what you want. And what I always do, what we have done in the past, which I really did love doing, is I would list all of the bills by their due date of the month. So if I have a bill that's due on the 1st, so say rent was due on the 1st, you would put the 1st here, and then you would write rent, and then the amount that's expected to be due. So the first thing we're going to do is date in the first column. The second column is item, or you can label it bill. And the third to remainder of the columns is where I put the months. So we're going to start this budget for the month of May. And up here I'm going to write 2018, and I keep track of all of my old ledgers for basically purposes. You know, the bank usually only keeps digital statements for about a year, depending on your bank. So I just like to keep these just to keep track of, like, oh, when did we pay off that such and such? Oh, I can go back and look at my papers, okay? So then we put June, July, August, September, October. Okay, so the first of the month, our first of the month, what's due is, because we don't have a traditional rent agreement with Mom, we do bill split. So the first of the month is due our medical insurance, and that is by Blue Cross Blue Shield. So I'm labeling it Blue Cross Blue Shield, okay? Now, what I used to do when Jim started taking over the budget is I would use this column here that's very hard to see. I would put in there a shorthand for the username and password that he can look it up online. Because really, since, Jim, would you say like 2005 we stopped receiving paper bills for most everything?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, when most everything that we receive is no longer, we're paperless on everything. The only thing that we cannot go paperless on is our utilities. They just don't have that capability here in Rolla to go paperless billing yet. I see, I'm optimistic. So I say Blue Cross Blue Shield, and the premium is $48.52. I know that's so random, right? And because that's going to be the same every month, I'm going to go ahead and put that in. $48.52. $48.52. $48.52. $48.52. $48.52. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a couple of spaces, because you never know during this 6-month period when you might have something new that comes in between the first and when your next bill is due. So the next number we have, the next date we have something due is the 9th. And that's when our utilities are due. And that's Rolla Municipal Utilities. So that's why I do a shortcut for that. And right now our utility bill, which is really part of our rent, is $315 it just went to, or $305 it just went to?
You said 305.
305, thank you. So it went to 305, 305, 305, 305. Now you can do these numbers in pencil, but for budgeting purposes, because this bill is not going to change its amount until after October, we're gonna leave it like this. If I do overpay it for some reason, like it was my car loan, I leave my car loan blank because I actually put in the exact amount that I pay. And there's some bills that are just like that. Okay, so the next date is I don't have very many bills. When I had credit cards, there was a lot more columns. So the next date where I have something due is the 9th again. So I'm going to put it right under it. And that's AOL. I know, who pays for AOL anymore? We do. It's actually part of our rental agreement. We pay Mom's AOL. And that is $26.99. $26.99. $26.99. And that had just gone up just recently, so I don't think it's going to go up again in the next 6 months. So I feel confident to go ahead and write it for the whole 6 months, okay? Now, once you have all of your stuff listed, what I do, well, actually, it's going to be hard. So let me list all my stuff, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the next step. Here we have a completed list. So I have here, I've only filled in the amounts of the bills that have exact amounts. Now down at the bottom, I have stuff that doesn't come out on a regular day every month. So we have our gas. We usually budget $40 a month, but I have left it blank. We have Stash, where we started investing $5 a month at Stash. I will link the referral code in the description box down below. But basically it's, you not play the stock market, but basically you invest in the stock market, and you get to choose a variety of different stocks that you want to participate in. What we did was what's called a $5 stash program, which is $5 a week. And every week it comes out of my bank account. It is coming out of our budget as far as my Dollar Tree is concerned. So we originally had $25 a week budgeted for the Dollar Tree, but I talked to Jim and said, how about if we take $5 a week of that and put it in Stash and make the Dollar Tree budget reduced to $20? And he said that would be great. So we're investing a little bit towards our future. When we lost our home and we moved here, I ended up having to close my 401k, so I don't have any extra retirement savings. Jim has a little bit from when he worked at the grocery store, but it isn't very much because he didn't work there for very long. So we really don't have anything other than Social Security for our retirement. So we decided to go ahead and do this. And there's my Dollar Tree budget. So it's $20 a week, but we all know that in some months there are more weeks than 4. So what I've done is I've gone in the calendar, and I know that I do my Dollar Tree shopping on Tuesday, or I try to. That's my plan. So I noticed in May there are 5 Tuesdays. So I went in and I budgeted $100 in May. But in June there's only 4 Tuesdays, so that's $80. And in July there's 5 Tuesdays, which is another 100. August is 4, September is 4, and October is 5. But you know, your yearly budget will work out to $20 times 52 weeks. But when you're budgeting for each month, this is what this is how we do this, okay? So the next step is determining payday, where it lands on the budget book. So for May, your first payday in May is on the 9th, correct?
What?
Your first
my first payday in May?
So what I do is I take Jim and Jerry and I put like a key up at the top.
Yeah, the 9th.
Okay. Jim's paydays will be signified by a straight line, and my paydays will be signified by a wavy line. I only get 1 payday a month, but you know, still. So what I do then is I figure out where it's going to land. So May, he gets paid on the 9th, which means the demarcation for payday goes right above the 9th. So I put a line here. And I'll explain to you why we do that in a second. His next payday in May is the 23rd. So we go up to the 22nd, since I don't have a 23rd, and I put a demarcation right under the 22nd. And next to it I write 20. Next to it I write 23. Up here I can write 9 if I want to, okay? And then I get paid on the 21st. So then I go in here underneath the 20 and I demark with a wavy line. Why do we do that? Okay, I'll explain it to you. So when you're on a biweekly paid cycle and Jim works at a job that it's hourly pay, not a fixed amount. He's not on salary and he doesn't get benefits that gives him a fixed amount every month. We have to make sure that we have whatever bills paid by that time from the previous pay cycle. Let me explain. So he's going to get paid on the 9th. So by the 9th, we need to have our medical insurance paid and our utilities paid by his next paycheck. So I have already paid the, we'll get to that next. So then from the 9th till the 23rd, I have to get all of these things paid in that particular paycheck. AOL will come out. That's an automatic payment. Dish will come out. That's one that I pay online. I am off my Geico cycle, so I have Geico insurance, and I am sure 12 months out of the year, but I only pay, I pay 4 out of 6 months. So what I do is I pay for 4 months, and I have 2 months off. So May and June are my 2 months off this 6-month cycle. I pay my life insurance. I'll make sure I pay I buy my medication on the 15th, which when it's by May, I just pay $5 for my medication. Jim pays $55 for his medication. So it's usually $60 in the budget. However, if the doctor takes him off something, or if he's paid up his deductible, the medication will be less, or like more expensive or cheaper. So we don't fill those numbers in. But I make sure that we get our medication by then, and then make our car payment. I have the car payment scheduled because it's really the 21st. It's scheduled to come out the same day I get paid from Google. So I put on the budget, I just pay the car payment with my paycheck. But that's to signify that I get paid on the 21st. Now, if the 21st is a Saturday or Sunday, I'll get paid that Monday or Tuesday afterwards. So I make sure I pay attention to that as well. And then Jim gets paid again on the 23rd, so that I'll make sure that I have the the phone payment paid between this payday and this payday. Now, that may sound very complicated, but it really is quite simple, and it's visually ready to go.
So now I'm just going to repeat those steps for June, July, August, September, and October. I am going to just transcribe the pay date lines, the demarcations of paydays, so that we know exactly each month what needs to be paid. Now, there are things that we don't have on our budget that mom does in her budget that would normally be a household expense, like groceries or food. The way we have always done it is we have prioritized our actual bills. And then what we do is we see, depending on what Jim gets paid, what we have left over. We usually budget about $40 a month for gas. It used to be $60, but now he's only at one job. It'll be about $40 a month in gas. But of course, if we take a trip to St. Robert, to the Dollar Tree, or someplace further away, it will eat into our regular gas budget. So that's why we leave those numbers blank, because that will depend on how much extra he gets paid than we have budgeted for, if that makes any sense. So, for example, if he got paid $800 a month and we only needed $600 a month in our budget to pay our monthly bills, then we have $200 a month for the differentials, for the extra food, for the extra entertainment expenses, and that sort of things, which are really important as well.
All right, so it may look a little bit like a bit of a mess here because I made a mistake here. And I used to have the green whiteout for a ledger, believe it or not. They actually make a ledger whiteout. Okay.
So that is how we set up the budget. The way I mark it is with a double check, with a check X, okay? So Pop taught me how to do with a check X. So what you do is when you've paid your bill online, you put a check next to it to signify that you paid it. Once it clears your bank account, and not in the pending or the processing, but actually clears your bank account, you go ahead and cross it out with an X. I am doing that for this because this is already done. I paid my medical insurance for May, and I went ahead and it cleared the bank already. So now I know this is paid and cleared. So when I go to do my current balance and basically justify my registry, I know what has cleared the bank account, okay? So that's it on a paper statement. So here is my digital calendar. And my digital calendar is set up exactly like my budget book, but it's in a calendar form. So just like a digital calendar, like you would do on a paper calendar, what I have done is I've put on the day that they're due, all of the bills that are due, and then on the corresponding paydays, I put the corresponding paydays. So what I do now is, like, say Jim gets paid on the 23rd of May. I have to look up the 23rd to his next paycheck was the 6th and see what I'm responsible for paying for. Every once in a blue moon, more responsibilities will come than are budgeted for. So in this month, there is a lot more there's a lot more bills due between the first and second paycheck than there are between the second and the next month's paychecks. So what I do is I see if there's anything that I can call or extend or bump up so that we're not cash poor for the first 2 weeks. Whenever a job situation switches in our family, I go ahead and I make sure if nothing is going to be too concurring. So basically what I'm saying is I have taken my T-Mobile bill and I have moved it 3 times since I've been a T-Mobile customer since 2002, because our pay situations have changed 3 times in the course of being a customer at T-Mobile. So originally my due date for my bill was the 15th, and I had a lot of bills coming out on the 15th and nothing coming out at the end of the month. So I switched it to the 20th. And then job situations changed, money situations changed, and I had way more stuff coming out at the end of the month, so I had switched it to the 12th. Now, they'll prorate you or reduce rate you for the amount of extra time or reduced time that you have during your billing cycles. You actually pay what you use. You just may pay more that first month than you do, or less that first month and more the second month or whatever than you would normally pay. And since the situation here has changed again, I get paid on the 21st from Google. I went ahead and I moved my T-Mobile bill to the 22nd so that I can make sure that I have the car payment covered and the phone bill. Okay? So that's an option. You can contact your finance companies, see about your utilities if they can change your date, because a lot of people have utilities that come out on the 1st and rent. And that is a real struggle for a lot of people. So what you can possibly do is, if you can budget it properly, you can do half a payment to your utilities here every month. Like sometimes your utilities company will let you pay half a month twice a year. Like twice a month, I'm sorry. So you basically can pay, instead of paying all your utilities on the 1st, you could pay half 2 weeks prior, and then you can pay whenever it's due, so you're not cash poor in the beginning of the month. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, the paper calendar that Jimmy uses, he uses a planner type book. He has it set up just like this. Okay, he has all of these transcribed into his paper calendar. I prefer the digital calendar and the budget book. So that's it. So I hope you really enjoyed this video and my tips. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share this video with friends and family. Anybody might be interested in learning these few tips and tricks. And if you haven't yet, join the family. When you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. So whether you do a paper
ledger, a paper calendar, or a digital calendar, I hope we were able to show you something here today. And as always, you take care. God bless. We'll see you next time. Bye.